Next guest is a leader known for her clarity, conviction and impact. And we've all seen her journey from the television screen to becoming a union minister to the political arena, isn't it?
That's right. And in just a few moments from now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be joined by Smriti Irani, former Minister of Education, Government of India. She's going to be joining us virtually, and she will help us explore her journey and her vision for unlocking Nari Shakti.
Absolutely. Like, we were talking about the earlier session. Yes, as far as Parliament is concerned, everybody says that they have the intent to see this long pending demand being enabled and operationalized, that they all want to see this dream realized. But do we have the numbers? We'll see at 4 p.m.
That's right. And ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our next guest, Ms. Smriti Irani. And we will also like to invite on stage Pranesh Roy, National Editor, Times Now, who will be moderating this conversation.
Please put your hands together for Smriti Irani and my colleague Pranesh Roy.
Thank you, Ina and Swati. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute pleasure to be speaking to Smriti Irani. Smriti ji, good morning. Whether or not you're in Parliament, आपकी चर्चा वहाँ होती है. आपने देखा ही होगा, अखिलेश यादव आपको याद कर रहे थे.
मुझे अखिलेश जी से संयम, समझ और संस्कार की बिल्कुल उम्मीद नहीं है. मुझ जैसा टैक्स पेयर जो काम करता है ताकि भारत की संसद में अहम मुद्दों पर परिचर्चा हो, उसकी तो एक ही अपील होगी कि सीरियल से ध्यान हटाकर वो संसद पर ध्यान केंद्रित रखे और इन ऐतिहासिक मुद्दों पर अपना समर्थन मोदी सरकार को दें.
जी, जो सबसे बड़ा सवाल है, the opposition is of the opinion that the intent of the Modi government is suspect. Now, they say that if the government really wants to do this, why are they not walking the talk? Why wait after the bill was unanimously passed in 2023? How would you answer that question and respond to the opposition?
In 2023, in unanimity was the cacophony of the opposition which said, why not implement it in the next general elections? Given that the time with regards to the 2024 elections was not sufficient enough to implement 33% reservation for women in Parliament, I applaud the government for now taking up this issue to ensure that it is applicable in the forthcoming general elections. So the opposition then, which was united in one voice with regard to speedy implementation of the reservation for women, today has done an about turn. So I am as flummoxed as you are as to why an opposition that wanted it to be hastily implemented today does not want that, especially when the Modi government has proffered all assurances that the opposition has sought on the floor of the House.
Now, many like Shashi Tharoor have even gone on to link this to delimitation. I'm not aware whether you know what he said. He said this is the political delimitation, the demonetization. And I mean, to compare this to Notbandi, do you think it's it's an extreme position only because all the concerns of the opposition have been answered by the Prime Minister, by Amit Shah?
I think that anybody who wants to chase headlines and does not want to be politically prudent, pragmatic, or for that matter constitutionally correct, does not deserve a response. If you look at the delimitation proposal of the government, the Home Minister yesterday was more than transparent that the Delimitation Act, which was proposed by earlier governments, has not been in any way tinkered with. That the delimitation process, once it's completed, will be presented as a report to Parliament, and once Parliament gives its assent, then the President of India will give her seal and her approval to the same. Additionally, I want to highlight here that this is the same opposition which, when the UPA was in power, said कि वर्तमान व्यवस्था को हाथ ना लगाएं, do not touch the pie politically as it's existing, enhance the size of the pie and then implement 33% reservation for women. तो जब सरकार 2023 में जो आज विपक्ष का हिस्सा है उनकी बात सुन रही है। जब हिस्टोरिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में मोदी सरकार 2010 में जो बीता सदन में जब बिल फाड़ा गया, जब तमाशा किया गया, तब भी इन राजनीतिक दलों का जो स्टैंड था दैट डू नॉट डिस्टर्ब द पॉलिटिकल पाई एज इट इज, एनहेंस द पाई, आप संख्या बढ़ाइए सदन की और उसमें आरक्षण को लागू कीजिए। मोदी सरकार ने इन दोनों विषयों पर ऑपोजिशन पार्टीज की ही बात मानी है। और अगर आपको साइज एनहांस करना है तो आपको कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज रीड्रॉ करनी ही पड़ेगी। ये एक संवैधानिक सत्य है, दिस इज अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल रियलिटी। और अगर आपको कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज बढ़ानी है तो आपको डीलिमिट करना ही पड़ेगा, आपको रीड्रॉ कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज करनी ही पड़ेगी। और कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज को रीड्रॉ करने के लिए आपको सेंसस का डेटा चाहिए, और वो लास्ट सेंसस का जो डेटा है उसी के आधार पर सरकार कह रही है कि हम डिलिमिटेशन करेंगे। वर्तमान में जो व्यवस्था है उसमें योर सेंसस इज अंडर वे, एज द होम मिनिस्टर हैज सेड, द हाउस होल्ड काउंट इज ऑन, द बिल्डिंग काउंट इज ऑन। अगर विपक्षी दल रैली चाहते हैं कि द रिजर्वेशन फॉर विमेन इन पार्लियामेंट इज अप्लाइड इन द नेक्स्ट लोकसभा इलेक्शन, I am flabbergasted as to why they would want to delink it from not only delimitation but also the whole constitutional procedure that the government is proffering on the floor of the house. मैं आपको एक और बात इसमें जोड़कर देती हूँ। ये सारी जो टेक्निकलिटीज में चुनौतियां विपक्षी पार्टियां आज प्रस्तुत कर रही हैं, उसके पीछे एक कारण ये भी हो सकता है कि वंस विपक्ष के फॉर्मूले को कोई अपनाने की कोशिश करे तो इट डज नॉट विथस्टैंड जुडिशियल स्क्रूटनी। आप इमेजिन कीजिए, अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल संवैधानिक मर्यादाओं का हनन करती है सरकार, तो क्या सरकार का ये प्रपोजल फिर जुडिशियल स्क्रूटनी को विथस्टैंड कर पाएगा? तो विपक्ष का जो रवैया है, द ऑपोजिशन टुडे हैज टेकन अ स्टैंड दैट ईदर दे डू नॉट वांट द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन of 33% reservation for women in parliament, or they want such a structure that can be struck down by the Supreme Court of India. In toto, they do not want to see political equity for women in Indian parliament.
Priti ji, let me ask you about what Priyanka Gandhi said. One of the things that she said was that, apart from doubting the intent, we've covered that, but she said that even the process and the panel is suspect. Amit Shah then got up and intervened and he said, look, we haven't changed one word, full stop of comma. The rule made by the Congress government, stands today. So what will the Congress do now? Do you think that, they've run out of excuses and this is...
Congress's intent. Unless it was the Congress's intent to structure it such so that the Congress politically benefits from it. And the Congress has practiced that kind of delimitation politics, and hence it is fearful that they have already set a political benchmark. Is that the position of the Congress party? I heard Ms. Vadra's snippets of speeches where she spoke about eloquently how her grandfather or somebody else in the family thought of this issue to begin with. My question then is that they had power for 6 decades in our country. Why is it that, knowing that this is the equitable thing to do, did they not pass this legislation in both houses of parliament, knowing that this is the constitutionally correct and ethical thing to do? Why is it for 6 decades they denied women in our country political equity?
That's right. This keeps coming up that if the Congress really wanted to give quota to women,
equity को discredit किया.
I agree with you, and this keeps coming up even in debates, and the Congress has no answer to this question, that when the seats were frozen in the 1970s and the Congress government even after that had majority, why were they waiting for someone to raise this, make an issue out of this? So there is a question of intent, but I want to now move on and talk about the quota within quota.
If Samajwadi says,
yeah, go ahead, ma'am.
I want to hear highlight if you say कि मेरे पुरखों ने इसको सोचा था. Post independence, you had the complete political might in both houses to pass this. The second thing which needs reflection is that time and again they go back to 2010. Anybody who knows political history of our country knows that in 2010 in Rajya Sabha, it is when the Congress allies did not support the passage of the bill, the BJP in opposition stood up and supported it and helped it pass in Rajya Sabha. The question now is that the Congress had majority, the UPA had majority in Lok Sabha. The UPA had already tested the support of the BJP in the Rajya Sabha. If the UPA then wanted, it could have passed in Lok Sabha as well. The UPA, led by the Congress party, allowed it to lapse in Lok Sabha. So if you look at the political evidence given by the Congress party, they were never in favor of ensuring women have 33% reservation in parliament or legislative assemblies. They had the power, they had the opportunity, they had support from the BJP in opposition, but they never did the justice that women in this country politically deserve.
Smriti ji, now let's talk about the quota in quota issue. Now, parties like the Samajwadi Party want a quota in quota, and principally the government has said that we have no problem. But Akhilesh Yadav and members of his party have been demanding a Muslim quota. Now, the constitutional does not allow that. What do you make of this demand, a Muslim quota?
And that is exactly why they are asking for it. That is exactly why Akhilesh is asking for it. It is not that he does not know that the constitution does not permit religion-based reservation. Let's all be very mindful. The Indian voter and Indian citizen who's currently watching you is extremely intelligent. Akhilesh Yadav knows very well that religion-based quotas is not allowed. It's not constitutionally mandated. This is just him chasing a headline for his vote bank. Because any conscientious politician, honestly, would not try to, in any way, create this kind of an ecosystem within their vote bank and lie. So what Akhilesh Yadav has done is blatantly lie to his vote bank to say, listen, I am standing up for your rights, knowing that constitution does not permit it. So what Akhilesh Yadav has done in parliament is actually exhibited how he lies to his vote bank, knowing very well that it's constitutionally not permissible. Because if it was constitutionally permissible, let me also highlight that it is Samajwadi Party that supported the UPA in power at the center. They had a decade to do this. They know it is not constitutionally mandated, not constitutionally permissible. That's why they didn't do it. They tried in many facets, in many states. But yesterday, the position taken by Akhilesh Yadav exposes the hypocrisy that he imposes on his own vote bank. मेरी तो अपील है कि अखिलेश यादव की पॉलिटिक्स करने वाले जो उनकी वोट बैंक के लोग हैं, वो देखें कि उनका नेता जानता है कि जो वादे वो कर रहा है वो संवैधानिक मर्यादा को तोड़ने वाले वादे हैं, वो संवैधानिक स्वरूप में संभव नहीं है. आपका नेता आपको झूठ बोल रहा है. कल आपके नेता ने स्वयं आपको देश की संसद में ये प्रमाण दिया है.
Smriti ji, you were talking about the voters and intelligence of the voters. When the opposition leaders and you members of the opposition say that this is done only to influence results in West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, I personally think that this is an insult of the voters' intelligence, because, I don't think, and this is personal opinion, I don't think that, a decision in 7 days or 9-10 days can, sway public opinion. And when the Prime Minister has gone on record to say, अगर आप support करेंगे तो मुझे फायदा नहीं होगा, लेकिन अगर आप oppose करेंगे तो इसका नुकसान होगा और मुझे फायदा होगा. Why are they pushing this line?
मैं आपको पुनः कह रही हूँ, आपका जो पर्सनल ओपिनियन है वो सही है. मैं भी उसका समर्थन करती हूँ कि आप तमिलनाडु और बंगाल के वोटर्स का इतना अपमान न करें कि वो इतनी आराम से स्वे हो जाते हैं एक स्पेशल सेशन ऑफ पार्लियामेंट से. उनको भी पता है कि वर्तमान के चुनाव से उसका कोई लेना देना नहीं है. ये आगामी लोकसभा के चुनाव में इंप्लीमेंट हो सके, ये संकल्प देश के प्रधानमंत्री ने स्वयं सदन के माध्यम से देश को बताया है. लेकिन वोटर की तौहीन करना ये तो विपक्ष की पुरानी आदत है. इससे आपको अचंभित नहीं होना चाहिए. वो नहीं समझते भारतीय वोटर की मैच्योरिटी, इसलिए विपक्ष में आज भी बैठे हैं.
Smriti ji, on the 50% quota for all states, before the government made its position clear, the opposition was,
ऐड कर दूं.
जी.
अगर वाकई में तमिलनाडु और बंगाल की राजनीतिक दलों को लगता है कि इस मुद्दे से वोट बैंक प्रभावित होता है, तो सबसे पहले बढ़ चढ़कर ममता जी खुद, स्टालिन साहब खुद इसका समर्थन कर देते। तो ये बोगी रेज इसलिए कर रहे हैं क्योंकि मात्र विरोध करने के लिए कोई बहाना चाहिए। क्योंकि जब आपने सरकार को मुद्दे प्रस्तुत करते सदन में देखा तो अमित शाह ने स्टेट बाय स्टेट, स्पेशली दक्षिणी राज्यों में उल्लेख किया कैसे सीटों का इजाफा होगा। अब आपके पास वो बहाना तो बचा नहीं, तो आप एक बहाना, एक छोटी सी चूंटी काट के कहते हैं अरे भाई आपने 2 स्टेट्स के लिए किया है, तो वोटर की बुद्धि का भी अपमान करते हैं और कहीं ना कहीं आप अपनी मूर्खता का भी प्रमाण देते हैं देश के नागरिकों को।
Priti ji, the other thing that the opposition said before the government made its position clear on the 50% increase in seats across all states, they said that look, this will be an injustice to the southern states. This is blatant discrimination, and this is done only with a political agenda in mind that the BJP is not so strong in southern states, and which is why they're going ahead with it. When the government clarified that we will increase seats and 50% increase will happen in all states, they are now saying why not 60%, 70%? We had a panel before you came on, and someone in the panel said why stop it at 50%? Why not make it 100%?
देखिए, ऐसा है कि आज अगर सरकार बोले कि सूरज पूरब से उगता है तो विपक्ष कहेगा नहीं, दक्षिण से उगता है। जैसे कि कल प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा कि इनको विरोध करना है लेकिन समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि विरोध करना कैसे है, इसलिए डेली कोई नई टेक्निकल पूछ लगाने की कोशिश करते हैं। पहले कह रहे थे कि आप अन्याय करेंगे, गृह मंत्री ने, प्रधानमंत्री ने जब स्पष्टीकरण दिया और कहा कि नहीं सभी राज्यों में 50% की बढ़ोतरी होगी, अब आपके पास कोई नया विरोध है नहीं साधन, इसलिए अब आप कह रहे नहीं 60 कर दो फिर 70 करो। ये तमाशा है क्या? एक स्ट्रक्चर्ड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल फ्रेमवर्क में प्रोसीजरली करेक्ट अगर हम लोग व्यवस्था ना अपनाएं तो मैं पुनः कहती हूं कि ये पूरी व्यवस्था फिर जुडिशियल स्क्रूटिनी को विथस्टैंड नहीं करेगी। क्या ये संभव है कि देश की राजनीति में किसी चैनल पे बैठा कोई पैनलिस्ट कहे नहीं आज मुझे 60% चाहिए, कल उसको 70% चाहिए? देश ऐसे चलता है क्या? एक संवैधानिक व्यवस्था होती है जो सरकार को लेजिस्लेटिवली प्रस्तुत करनी है सदन में, जो सरकार ने की। उस संवैधानिक व्यवस्था पर आप टिप्पणी कीजिए, डिबेट करिए, डिलिबरेशन करिए। इसीलिए देश के नागरिक सांसद चुनकर भेजते हैं और वो सांसद बैठकर फिर निर्णय लेते हैं कि क्या व्यवस्था देश को दी जाएगी। तो हम टेलीविजन पैनल्स पे बैठ के बोल सकते हैं नहीं मुझे 70% चाहिए, कल को किसी को 80% चाहिए, किसी को 100% चाहिए, लेकिन टेलीविजन पैनल से देश नहीं चलता। संविधान से संसद की मर्यादाओं में रहकर चलता है और जो भी निर्णय होता है उसको न सिर्फ महामहिम राष्ट्रपति की मुहर चाहिए बल्कि वो जुडिशियल स्क्रूटनी को भी विथस्टैंड करे, ऐसी व्यवस्था चाहिए। पैनलिस्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट नहीं चलाते, पैनलिस्ट संसद नहीं चलाते।
Let me underline a paradox. The opposition says that although the government has clarified that 2011 is not the base, the 2011 census, but many in the opposition say that, you should not do it on 2011. Even if the government wants to do it on 2011 census, this is a census conducted by the opposition party. So the opposition, look what the opposition is doing. By pushing that line, they would have the people believe that, either there was some problem with the census that they conducted in 2011. The other thing that they say is that the delimitation process itself is suspect. So are they then conceding that the delimitation exercise done before the Modi government, were the political redrawing of maps done with, one party in mind?
मैंने ये विषय कल उठा लिया है। मैंने 2 सवाल यही किए हैं कि कोई गारंटी कर दे कि जो सेंसस अंडरवे है जब उसकी संख्याएं आएंगी तो ऑपोजिशन उसका विरोध नहीं करेगी, कि ऑपोजिशन उस डेटा पर संदेह की कहीं ना कहीं कोई बिंदी नहीं लगाएगी, कि ऑपोजिशन तब जैसे आज वो इलेक्शन कमीशन पर कटाक्ष कर रहे हैं, सेंसस की पूरी प्रतिक्रिया पर कटाक्ष करके हमें नहीं मंजूर है ये तमाशा नहीं करेगी, फिर डिले करेगी इस पूरी प्रतिक्रिया को। और दूसरा मेरा जो कल पक्ष था, जो मैंने सार्वजनिक रूप से कहा है कि जो सेंसस का डेटा गवर्नमेंट जिस पे निर्भर करना चाहती है वो तो उस कार्यकाल का है, फिर जहां पर कांग्रेस का राज था। तो क्या कांग्रेस ने उस डेटा सेट में गड़बड़ की थी? कांग्रेस फिर देश की जनता को इसका जवाब दे। और तीसरा मुद्दा जो मैंने कल उठाया, जो आज आप अपने सवाल में डाल रहे हैं, कि आपने क्या कांग्रेस के राज में डीलिमिटेशन की एक्सरसाइज को दुरुपयोग करके पॉलिटिकल कार्टोग्राफी ऐसी बनाई इस देश में कि आपने अपनी पॉलिटिकल तकदीर उसके आधार पर लिखी? क्या ये तीनों पक्ष पर कांग्रेस या विपक्ष के लोग स्पष्टीकरण देश को देंगे, गारंटी देंगे? कल वो नरेंद्र मोदी से गारंटी मांग रहे थे। नरेंद्र मोदी ने कहा सदन के पटल पर कि जी आपको गारंटी शब्द यूज करना आप यूज करिए, वादा शब्द यूज करना यूज करिए, क्योंकि जब नियत में खोट ना हो तो शब्दों का खेल नहीं होता। वह बैटम नरेंद्र मोदी ने कल प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में देश की संसद में बोला है। तो ऑपोजिशन और विशेषतः कांग्रेस पार्टी बता दे देश को कि जी हमने डीलिमिटेशन इस देश में ऐतिहासिक रूप में ऐसे की कि बस कांग्रेस ही जीते।
Priti ji, going by the reaction we've seen and, going by the numbers so far, do you think the government can push through, because the Constitution Amendment Bill will need a special majority, 2/3 present in voting? And if the bill falls through, what would the BJP tell the people of the country?
Narendra Modi as Prime Minister and as a political leader has always been purposeful, has always been inclined to looking at all parliamentary procedures, details. Amit Shah as Home Minister has ensured that not only the constitutional legacy of our country is protected, but also assurances given on the floor of the House, both by not only the Home Minister, but any member of the cabinet who comprises the cabinet of Prime Minister Modi. All those assurances are met with. Given Narendra Modi's political journey and political legacy, I do not see a great challenge if truly all political parties are aligned to the simple fact of ensuring 33% reservation for women should be speedily implemented so as to see it fructify in the 2029 election. Any political party, any political leader that tries to dissuade the government from this stand will stand exposed in front of the female population of our country. Today we have close to 464 million women who are voters registered in our country. We have close to 500 million women who are today a part of our workforce. Any opposition leader, or for that matter, any political leader, any political party who goes against the might of the simple Indian female will have to then respond to the women of our country. If they are ready to take on the women of our country, then best of luck to them.
Priti ji, last
Because
evening,
what I know women in my country, they will not be at peace till political equity is ensured.
last evening the Gazette notification of the 2023 Act was issued. Now, the Congress also other political parties from the opposition are saying that why did it take the government over 30 months to do this? If the government was serious and the government has used the nomenclature that this is a historic moment for all parties to come together to do this for Nari Shakti, for women's reservation, why was the government waiting for 30 months? And what explains this Gazette notification while the debate in Parliament is on?
The Congress is never going to lose an opportunity to find any or every flaw in the BJP. I will never expect them to appreciate any gesture, any move, any contribution, any policy yardstick that has been created by the BJP. If the Congress truly believes that it supports 33% reservation for women in Parliament and wants to ensure it in the next Lok Sabha election today, you will witness whether the Congress supports the government or it does not. Instead of nitpicking on any other issue, I think we will see as the events in Parliament unfolds who stands for women in this country and who stands against them.
Smriti ji, let me ask you a question, and I want you to answer this not as Smriti Irani of the BJP, but Smriti Irani, the woman achiever. Let's for a moment, put politics aside. Do you believe, principally, all political parties in India thus far have only offered lip service to the issue of Nari Shakti? Because, and I'm asking you this because, what stops political parties from giving 33% or even 40% or 50% quota without the bill? Nothing stops them.
I am a part of a political organization that gave 33% reservation for women within the organization. Not only at the center, but across all states, even up to a district level position, is curated so that women can have political equity within the organization. And that equity was ensured when a man was the president of the BJP, which is ironical, but at the same time, we had a female leading the Congress party, and that political equity within a political organization was not ensured by that grand old party. So if you say, let's leave politics aside, the question is, why are women always supposed to leave politics aside to answer this question? Let's look at the issue of Nari Shakti, as you so enunciated. What is Nari Shakti? Without a bank account, which most women in my country did not have access to, till the Jan Dhan Yojana was started. And of the 500 million Jan Dhan accounts opened, close to 53% of the accounts were that of women. Those who espouse the cause of emancipation, why did they not link women to these financial institutions when they had 6 decades of power? Let's look at the another way of looking at Nari Shakti. Women having permanent commission in the Indian Armed Forces. They fought for it for years, but that became a reality under Modi government. The Congress and opposition parties had an opportunity to helm that issue of Nari Shakti, but they did not. Let's look at Nari Shakti from another perspective of education. There have been national education policies written before the Modi government came to power. But for the first time in the history of our country, the national education policy has a gender-specific infrastructure fund and a whole framework for the same. Why is it that parties that have ruled and served this country before Modi became Prime Minister never thought of this? Let me look at another aspect of Nari Shakti. 110 million homes in our country did not have even a toilet for women. Why is it that it took a Narendra Modi to become Prime Minister to ensure a toilet in the houses of poor families in our country? Those who espouse the issue of emancipation, why were they quiet when women had no access to medical facilities in this country? It took a Narendra Modi to create an Ayushman Bharat Yojana. And today, close to 100 million women can get themselves checked for breast cancer and cancer of the cervix across 32,000 hospitals in this country. So today when I speak, forget about me talking politically or also from the prism of an achiever. Just look at it as a citizen, male or female, and tell me honestly, if not Narendra Modi, who else would have passed this bill in both houses of parliament?
Smriti ji, you were talking of political equity. The bill will definitely ensure political equity. But I want to talk about the larger issue about the mindset in our country. And let me go back to what Akhilesh Yadav said about you. And this is not the first time that someone has, used pejoratives or words like Saas Bahu to describe a woman, in your case, former minister. What does it tell you about the mindset? That the bill can come, seats will be reserved. But what will it take to change that mindset?
I will tell you what it tells you about Akhilesh Yadav. I will tell you what it says about Akhilesh Yadav and Smriti Irani. ये स्मृति ईरानी में इतनी हिम्मत तो थी कि कांग्रेस के गढ़ में जाकर उसने चुनाव लड़ा और कांग्रेस पार्टी के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष को हराया. अखिलेश यादव में अगर दम हो तो जाके गोरखपुर से लड़के दिखा दे, सारी राजनीतिक हेकड़ी वही निकल जाएगी. तो बड़ा आसान होता है ठाके लगाना एक सेफ सीट से जो आपके परिवार ने आपको बनाकर दी है. बड़ा आसान होता है जिस इंसान ने कभी जीवन में नौकरी नहीं की है एक कामकाजी महिला पर कटाक्ष करना। लेकिन अफसोस की बात है कि हम जैसी कामकाजी महिलाओं को आदत है ऐसे लौंडे लपाटे जब बातें करते हैं हमारे बारे में। हमारा काम है कि हमारा ध्यान पूरा लक्ष्य की ओर हो। मैंने विनम्रता से अखिलेश जी से कहा अपने ट्विटर प्रोफाइल के माध्यम से कि टैक्स पेयर भाई साहब मेहनत इसलिए करता है ताकि संसद चले सुचारू रूप से, तो आप सीरियल पे नहीं संसद पे ध्यान दीजिए।
My final question to you is about Akhilesh's father, late Mulayam Singh Yadav. He had said about the women's reservations bill कि ज्यादा महिलाएं आएंगी तो विसिल बजेगी, इसीलिए हम अपोज कर रहे हैं।
I think that this is exactly the kind of conversation certain individuals and parties would want us to have. That in this melee, where serious deliberation needs to ensue on the issue of political equity for women in our country, we cheapen women and their everyday struggles, their everyday realities, and their everyday contribution. Instead of adding fuel to that fire, I would rather keep this conversation completely focused on the constitutional exercise, legislative exercise that is currently underway in the Indian Parliament.
Well, thank you, Smriti Irani.
औरतों को इस देश में आदत है इस प्रकार की टिप्पणियां सुनने की, लेकिन देश की औरतें ये कह रही हैं कि हम पे जितनी टिप्पणियां करनी है करो, उससे तो हम डील कर लेंगे, झेलेंगे नहीं, डील करेंगे। लेकिन वर्तमान में मुद्दा क्या है? मुद्दा यह है कि कौन सा वो राजनीतिक दल, कौन सा वो राजनीतिक नेता है जो इस देश की महिलाओं को 33% आरक्षण नहीं देना चाहता। वक्त आ गया है कि न सिर्फ उनके चेहरे से वो नकाब हटाया जाएगा, देश की महिलाएं फिर उसके बाद उसका हिसाब भी करेंगी।
Thank you, Smriti Irani ji. Fierce and forthright. We'll find out who are these political parties who will be tagged as anti-women. That's coming up at 4. Thank you. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.